June 4th, 2019, Biloxi City Council meeting. We're going to start off with an invocation by Father Trong Tran from Silo's Catholic Church.
Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you on behalf of all members and people who gathered here this evening. We thank you for many blessings that you have bestowed upon each and every one of us. Thank you for our health, our families, our friends, and our loved ones, and life itself. Thank you for our ability to be involved in the civil work and works for the honor of being elected and selected as member of our Biloxi City Council. We are asking you to be present with us in our meeting this evening. We thank you for our mayor. We pray for the various levels of the city officials and for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant us the wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and the true needs for our people, a keen thirst for justice, righteousness, and peace, the confidence in what is good and fitting for all, an ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, the personal peace in our lives, and joy in our entrusted tasks. Please also give an assurance of what is good, what good please to you, and what is good benefit for our people who live and work in and around our beloved city of Biloxi. I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. Mr. Lawrence, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Father Tran. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I need a motion to amend the agenda. Moved by Mr. Lawrence.
Second.
Second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? 7-0. Motion carried. Ms. Lucy, could you read us our amendments?
To our routine agenda, we're adding Section 4 in the amount of $47,539.99. We're also adding a Section 5 in the amount of $4,823,785.59.
I need a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Moved by Mr. Lawrence.
Second.
Second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? No questions. All in favor? 7-0. Motion carried. Okay, we're going to start off with the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to invite Antonio Wright with the Metro Area Community Empowerment to speak about the 44th Wheelchair Softball World Series.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Antonio Wright. I represent MACE, Metro Area Community Empowerment. It is an organization that has started adaptive sports, motivational speaking, and youth mentoring. We started a organization called Deep South Hurricanes, which is a wheelchair softball team comprised of athletes from Mobile, from Mississippi, from New Orleans. We take wheelchair athletes and we put them all together. We started this around 2011. Now we have taken these wheelchair athletes and we do going to wheelchair softball World Series, and we competed all over the country in wheelchair softball, and we brought 2015. We brought the wheelchair softball World Series to Biloxi. It was the first time it was in the South, and it was wonderful. The Boulevards was our host hotel. We brought over 18 teams here. It was amazing. However, Matt over at the convention center competed in one of our chairs, and it blew his mind. All of a sudden, all of the teams wanted to come back. It was the first time it ever came back to the South again. This time we had 20 teams come back. We had over 28 states represented in the South. Over 400 people in wheelchairs came to the Mississippi and competed in 2016. It was amazing. Our governor was here in 2015 throughout the first pitch. In 2016, remember remember the storm that was here? Do you remember how much rain it was in 2016? It was 62 matches in 2016, and only 60 of them was in the rain, sideways rain. And all of these guys were in wheelchairs competing in the rain at that convention center. And the governor's wife was in the rain with a plastic bag over her head watching us and helping us out. It was amazing. 2 years have went by, and they want to come back to Mississippi. But this time, I do not want the Biloxi mayor and city council to miss out on this opportunity. I don't want you all to miss out on all this fun that we had. So this time, we want to invite you all to not only to be a part of this, but to experience this. So what am I asking? One, I want to challenge the mayor to come out first and throw out the first pitch. That's the first thing, okay? Number two, I want to challenge the city council to come out and compete in a, we're gonna call it a all-star exhibition. Just like Mr. Matt from the convention center, he got in a chair, and in the last day, he competed in a exhibition. So what we want to do is get some all-stars from around the city, from the Shuckers, from the police department, from the fire station, from you all, and put them in chairs and compete against some of the Japanese team. We have teams that are coming from 3 different countries, from 28 different states, from all over the world. Will be coming into Biloxi, Mississippi, and we want to get a chance to let everybody compete against them in the last day. And now the third thing we're going to ask is, in that exhibition, when you get a chance to play against us, we want to have that as a way to help us fundraise also. When you sit down, you will not only be competing, but you will also be helping us fundraise. That seat would be a chance to help us out with this opportunity. So, first of all, thank you all for allowing us to come and tell you about this. It's going to be an amazing opportunity for the country again. The 2020 World Series, it's about to happen. We appreciate you again, and we want to inform you first because it's happening, and then we definitely want your input, your time, and we want some effort. Yes. Bless you. Thank you so much.
What's the days?
Oh, great. So it's August the. I guess you do need the date, don't you? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Listen, you need to loosen up too a little bit. You don't have enough enthusiasm.
I guess you can't tell him a motivational speaker, huh? It is August the 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2020.
All right. We'll get them there. We'll be there, and we'll get them there too.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yes,
All right,
sir.
Mr. Wright? Mr. Wright? We got time to practice. We got a lot of time to practice. I have one question.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
One question. Are we getting free plastic bags or what?
You have to get them.
Free plastic bags.
In case it rains.
Oh, we'll make sure you get a free plastic bag and a tent, Okay, we'll make sure of it, okay?
Councilman Lawrence like paper. He likes paper.
Thank y'all again.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
you.
Mr. Wright. I will be in attendance, absolutely.
Couple of things to report on this time from my mayor's report. Conference USA was successful. USM won it. I think it brought the draw. I think Mike, you might want to add, I don't know, is it successful as it, I guess it's the best so far this time.
We told you ahead of time that we had a really good year the first year where we got certain ticket dollars per ticket. The second year, when it rained and we had all the bad weather, we had a terrible year, didn't hardly make any money at all. So this year, the city attorney and I worked a deal out with the Overtime Sports where we'd get a flat fee. Regardless of rain or shine, we were going to get the same amount. Well, sadly, it shined and didn't rain, but we still walk away with 25 grand. So I think we'd call that a successful tournament, and Lord knows it dragged a lot of people into this city.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, the ESPN and some of the coverage.
Yeah, he had 15, what is 15 games, 1,500, 22,500?
Right, 22.5.
And then they give us the parking lot. Was that something unique? Did we was ever to use the parking lot for the tournament, where you could charge?
There were some food vendors and that sort of thing in the parking lot, yes.
That was all part of that?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, because that was the first time they ever let us actually use the parking lot.
Right, for that,
Yeah.
for that food and beverage, other than, what was already there. The other thing, as you might well know,
1,500 a game,
your
15
council was
games.
very much represented on that picture on the wall where we actually won D'Iberville. We beat D'Iberville. Yeah. I told in the great mayor's race, and they didn't know that it's not going to be D'Iberville anymore. It's going to be North.
have no guts.
I want my. That's right. I told him the other day it's going to be not D'Iberville anymore. It's going to be North Biloxi, Wards 8 and Wards 9. He's still trying to figure that out. Okay.
We kept Fofo away from the wheel. We did great.
That's it.
That was a good day.
Yeah. Well, I hung around the beer chest with George. So anyway, well, it's good. But we had Bill Fisher's tournament's cranking up, and I think there's some crawfish ball or some captains gathering today.
100
but
boats coming in.
100 boats, 115, I think, is what it is. But that's cranking up. I think Thursday morning it will be the official lineup and kickoff. We also, a couple things. I mean, what the BMA, Ben's here to give us an update on how we're doing with regard to Keesler and the Division Street. Ahead of schedule and under budget or on budget, ahead of schedule, something like that.
Yeah, Ben, come on up. Well, I wanted to do this for council today because as you know, we've got an inside the gate project that's going on, inside the Keesler Gate, and there's an outside the gate project. They're two different projects. They're two different funding streams. We can't mix the money. But our engineers have done some creative things with the two projects, and I'll let Ben explain it.
All right, I'm gonna try to get this oriented so that we can see it.
I want to hit the lights or something, maybe you see it better. Got a little sunlight hampering.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get
No,
that out.
we'll turn it down a little bit.
Okay.
Still, it's okay.
Yeah, it's the sunlight.
How about that?
Yeah, that's good. That's not my head.
No, or mine.
Okay, we got one of them lights up there.
All right, so as Mike mentioned, right now, as you guys are aware, we're in process and really close to finishing the inside the gate portion of the contract, which in the original bid documents kind of brought the road just outside the physical gate of Keesler there by Forest Avenue. We're, as Mike said, we're under budget, ahead of schedule by a few months, and we're trying to make sure we maximize the use of the money we got for the inside the gate portion of the project, and to make sure we can get better use of the money we've got allocated for the outside the gate portion. So what we've been able to do is negotiate expanding the scope of the project, and what you see here hopefully is what will be the new intersection at Division Street going on base and Forest Avenue, and that's a roundabout that through some design iterations, we all determined, working with Keesler, that that was the best way to control that intersection for traffic coming north and south on Forest, as well as going east and west on and off base. There's a proposed change order for consideration to include that scope of work that you see right there into the existing contract, where that would allow us to kind of keep using that money that we've got for the inside the gate portion of the project. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
I do have a question, Ben, if you don't mind.
Sure.
At that intersection, I know that the Forest, there's a decline there
To the south, correct.
to the south, and then a little further south behind Desports and some of the, you got that, I guess, that ravine, the concrete drainage structure
Yes, sir.
there. And is that intersection there where the roundabout is that going to be elevated? And about how much higher would the elevation be than what it is now, roughly?
Roughly, the roadway will be about 2 feet higher than it is now. And we couldn't get it much higher than that because it's kind of hard to see here, but that's the bridge.
Right.
That's there now, and we have to tie back in flush with that bridge at a certain grade of road, if you will, so that it's not too steep. And to make sure that as we go east along Division, that we still are able to navigate in and out of the properties that are on Division Street.
Okay. All right. So about 2 feet higher, roughly?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the bridge, you're not fooling with the bridge at all right there?
No, sir.
So the Forest will still be 2-lane traffic?
Yes, sir.
Just coming off Forest will be 4 lanes?
2 lanes in each direction, that's correct.
So the creative thing that they did for us is we had 2 projects, one of which had extra money in it, and the other one was short of money. We can't move the money, but we can move the work. So they're transferring some of the work from the project that is underfunded to the project that has extra funding, which about $500,000 difference that we'll pick up, that we, rather than having to turn it in and not spend it, we can actually use it outside the gate this way.
We received all the money we supposed to receive. It was supposed to be a $30 million project.
37 million, another 5 million is on the way, so we have 15 million with, if things finish all right, maybe a couple million to, search for.
That's right.
And on the right-of-way, do you have a limited amount of money to spend on the right-of-ways?
Well, we do. I mean, we've got a budget we're trying to hold. We're obviously in the middle of acquiring right-of-way. That's always a challenge to try to make sure we work with all the people that own property there to make sure that we do that in a fair manner. So we are still pretty close to the original budget. I think we've gone over in some areas and under in some areas, but we're doing our best. But there are some definite challenges.
Anytime you deal with somebody else's property, it's always a challenge.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, because it's your property.
Correct. That's
And
exactly
they
right.
didn't want to sell anyway.
That's right. So
So
we've
you-
definitely got to be sensitive to that and make sure we treat everybody the same.
So sometimes you have to be a little generous, not
Correct.
so much. But, when you're disturbing somebody's life, that's what you're doing.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
One more question, if I might, and then I'll be quiet on this topic. What's the approximate diameter of that roundabout?
115 feet. I figured I'd get that question.
I was going to ask it.
Well, anytime we're doing roundabouts, that's always that question. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. I would ask the council to spread the travel expense on the Biloxi credit card to the minutes. And that concludes my report.
All right, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, no departmental reports. I'm gonna move on to council reports. I'm gonna start with Mr. Barrett.
I have nothing today.
Mr. Glavin.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to call up Mr. Donnie Handler. We'd like to do a special presentation to the Biloxi Police Department and note some fundraising activities that were done for the McKeithen family. Donnie?
Just come on right up here.
I'd just like to recognize a few folks. I'm going to let Donnie talk a little bit about it because he did the heavy lifting for this event. But we did a ruck run from Margaritaville to the lighthouse. We knelt there and did a prayer for the McKeithen family, and then we rucked it back to Margaritaville. There's a lot of people with Tunnels for Towers, Justin Lopez, the Biloxi Police Department, and many, many more. But again, this man right here, it was his idea, his brainchild. He put it together very rapidly, and we had pretty good response. And I'll let him talk more about it. Donnie?
No, I appreciate it, Kenny. It was just something I felt compelled. He lived right one road behind me, and used to actually pick on me for being a handler. People give me a hard time sometimes, but anyway, a little inside joke. But I got with Kenny and wanted to do something, and we ended up having 134 people come out. We raised $2,143 in pretty much 2 hours. And somebody reached out to me on Facebook out of Gulfport and donated this to us. And what we did is we laid it on the table, and everybody that participated, they signed a board, and we want to present it to Chief Miller is what we want to do. So
I want to say a couple more words too. If you don't know what a ruck run is, I know Chief Miller knows what it is, and some of you military people. You put a backpack on your back with about 40 pounds, more or less, of weight. And so we ran. All I had was a Croatian flag with me. I didn't put the ruck pack on. But we ran all the way to the lighthouse, did the prayer. I'm running back, and this man passes me with 50 pounds of weights on, and he tore, what did you do? You tore some ligaments in your ankle or knee or whatever. Just about six weeks ago, and he's huffing and puffing and just did it, on pure adrenaline. So, congratulations. We got a check for $2,300 plus, and we still got a few donations trickling in. But it's very moving. And in addition, his daughter, I'll just add this too, Gracie, competed for the Shrimp Queen. She was a top finalist. And I think she sold the most ads too for that thing. But anyway, this is all about all y'all's hard work. Thank you. And the only other thing I have, Biloxi All-Stars is kicking off. I think our 9 and under in Long Beach won the tournament, but we have all our All-Stars that are competing throughout the summer for the next several weeks. So if you get a chance to support those kids, that's a great thing too. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Glavin. Dr. Tisdale?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Mayor, Mr. Leonard, I know that, are we collecting any rent on the ground floor of the library there? Are we collecting anything yet?
Yes, we are, and have been for the last 8 months.
Good, okay, I thought we were. And our rent doubles at the federal building in October, I think, roughly from.
Square foot too. So I mean,
Big-
so is the square foot. So we get.
Right, okay. I know that's going to be a budgeting item as well. There's really, I don't know who to ask it. Residents can pay their water bill online. Is that the only utility they can pay online, or do we offer other services?
I don't think they can pay that bill.
Well,
Can they-
they do a bank
draft, bank draft, but not online with regard to merchant services.
Okay, all right, so we don't have any commercial services available?
Use PayPal to pay a check,
Right,
but you can't
I
use
got you.
a credit card.
okay, do we have any plans to look at something like that? or-
Looking at
That's what I would have said, we're looking at it, okay. You're making a good day.
2.75%.
I got you. All right. The only other thing I want to say is Public Works. I just see these guys out in the heat. I don't know if Mr. Allen's here or not.
He was out in the heat today, so I gave him off.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, at least in my ward, when I'm out and around, I see them, they're hustling. They're on the go. So anyway, and I know it's hot. I just appreciate them and want to thank them for that. Thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Deming?
Yes, well, first I want to apologize for missing the special meeting earlier. I was out of town at my daughter's senior class trip. We were in Miami and the Dominican Republic. I just flew in today, and boy, are my arms tired. All that said, again, I know the meeting today was for a very important topic, and I'm sorry that I was late and wasn't able to make it. However, I will be seeking counsel of Ms. Newman, who is the councilman for that ward, and I would love to hear from anyone else that wants to speak with me about it. Contact me, email me, talk to me after this meeting, tell your neighbors if they want to get their word in with me. I'm having a ward meeting next Thursday on the 13th. Feel free to come. I know you're not part of that ward if you live in her ward, but I'd welcome your attendance to hear your thoughts and comments on that project. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Ms. Newman?
Yes, I would like for the mayor and my colleagues to consider us bringing back up the panhandling ordinance, as the homeless have obviously, it's been a huge increase in the panhandling since we approved this ordinance, and it also seems like there's no positive side to allowing this ordinance, and it's been only causing more of an issue and no solution. So I would urge y'all to bring this back up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Ms. Lawrence?
They had a couple big events this week. I don't know if anybody passed the finish line, the little race car. They must have brought 1,000 of them things in. They raced all day long. It must have been part of a tour.
It is part of the circuit, right?
Because I'm telling you what, that was pretty awesome. They filled that whole area up. So that's one.
Sold out, I think.
Right, and that thing, they brought them in and trailers and everything. I mean, that was mighty fine. We're talking about these boats, but that was pretty interesting to see that many.
And it is people with some expensive toys on I think in Miami, some in Canada, Las Vegas, and of course.
Yeah.
We wrestled it away from New Orleans. So last year the event was.
They thought it was going to take them 3 years to get that kind of that particular one. It's a pretty unique kind of circumstances, but it was really good.
So they had to try traffic rules. That's a good problem. That was a good problem. We also had the blessing of fleet this weekend. Went well. Great weather. You know, there's a limited amount of the small luggage in that that's left, but they probably had a dozen boats out there, the old type. You know, the Vietnamese did the big, the 100-foot slab, we call them, but they opened their season in Texas. Most of them was gone anyway, because they go out there a week or so before they start catching. So that was a good thing.
Hey, George, I just want to comment on Blessing the Fleet. 1979, there were over 3,000 boats on the water for the Blessing. It's dwindled. It's great to still see that we're doing the event, but I mean, there's probably a couple dozen boats, shrimp boats this year. But 1979, there were over 3,000 boats. That were
Yeah,
on
well,
the water.
1979 didn't have 100-foot shrimp boats either.
Yeah, I know.
So they've taken over. Those are floating factories. That's a different world. That's a different world. They can't compete now with the smaller boats, you know. It's just a big difference. Also, last night they opened the 50 year for the Camille at the Seafood Museum. That's quite an exhibit, you know. A lot of people think about Katrina, but I mean, Camille was the first thing that messed us up. That's 50 years ago. You know, we floated around in a house back then, and Katrina, there wasn't no house to float around in. But we survived that one. But that's something everybody should go see. That's a part of the city. Just like the 47 hurricane, they changed. Everything changed after one of these major hurricanes. You know, and then what Katrina did, Katrina pretty much destroyed everything. But I mean, each one makes it different. So to go there and back and look at the past, that's pretty good. That's pretty interesting. They also had the Billfish tournament this weekend. Thursday morning, 11 o'clock, you want to see about $300 million worth of boats go by your yard? Go out there and check it out. I mean, these boats are $2-3 million, some of them $15-20 million. They out here playing games, catching something. It's 65,000 in Calcutta. I guess y'all should know what a Calcutta is, but anyway.
They got good electrical service there now, too.
Do what?
They got good 200 amp electrical service there.
Right. And, you know, we saw it last year. The folks on that trying to get Governor Bryan and people in the state to expand the point of that harbor.
Refurbish.
Because you could probably double the size of these boats. They're already up to 2.5 million giveaway. The top in the world is 5 million. So if we had the space in the harbor, I mean, we could probably be the #1 destination in the world for this billfish tournament. I mean, they win 200,000 and 250,000 each catch. But it's not that. These guys have so much money. They spend a ton of money. And I talked to one guy from Texas. He said, there's nothing better than Biloxi when you walk off your boat into a casino. And he said, you can't find it anywhere else in the world. But I mean, we have to upgrade the harbors to get the bigger boats and everything in. When you start bringing them 92-foot Vikings, they 30 million each, you don't want to hit the wall. You want enough room for them to come through that. We can't afford the insurance of that thing.
Somebody else had a 60th class reunion too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did that too. And I tell you, we did everything in Biloxi. We went to the French Club, we went to the Fado Do, and we ate brunch at the Patio 44. We stayed in Biloxi. I was amazed. A lot of them were still alive. I'm proud of them. We're a bunch of old people, And the only thing I wanted to ask Chief Miller did.
They're still breathing.
Yeah, we out there boogied them. We boogied. Did you get anything adjusted with White Avenue? We had a lot of complaints. I told you about that. Did something you had done today? Because just like these people come from the other side of town, going to White Avenue between 4 and 5 is tough.
Irish Hill too was really closed in the last 3 days. So I mean, you couldn't
so
use
driving that thing to Highway 90.
I think they were going deep with regard to sewer.
Yeah, it might come to just direct traffic yourself. Because once you get it moving, it's not that, it's like you said, it's about an hour and 15 minutes. But it kind of just, people call all the time and say they can't get to White Avenue. I said, well, there's no Irish Hill right now. That's it. Y'all come off Keystone, everybody's on Highway 90. That's the only shot you have. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Deming, you have one more thing?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I meant to ask this during my time, but I got some laughter and that threw me off. Mr. Mayor, can you give us a report on any progress on any measures regarding the negative impact of the spillway?
We got some things in motion with regard to commerce in D.C. And supposedly some folks from the Corps of Engineers will be there if we can arrange. But that's it. We've got been doing a lot of interviews and some people from Baton Rouge and so forth. But we do the attention that we need. Again, as was said, is that it's only harm. We get no benefit from the spillway water, the river water that's being delivered. I think another 4 more dolphins washed up in the last few days. And Morganza, I think, is the Morganza spillway, which is a little bit north of Baton Rouge, but to the Chapelaya, will offload us some of the volume. But the questions we have are numerous, and we just need to. I don't know whether it's going to be, what we can do in this next 30 or 40 days where we think that's going to be open. But we've got to have a long-range plan, and to get to the, there were 3 areas of Army Corps of Engineers, I think in Vicksburg, Mobile, which handles us, and then as well as New Orleans. We need to get some attention and ask to be, again, considered, and to, it's a measurement. You got to keep the parts per thousand around, livable measures. Right? I think right now we're at 1 and 2, in some places none.
None.
And
0.
it needs to be 20 or 22. So we know what we need to do. Seems that we could get a solution to reservoir it up, release it a little bit at a time. So we got plenty of questions, but we've got to figure out, like you said, who to ask it to.
Well, let me ask you this. What about the impact to our economy? I know that I've seen some of the oyster farmers and some of the other people that work in that industry have complained about the impact that it's had on them.
The oysters are done, seemed like, with regard to that volume. The crab, I think in some of the scientists, Gulf Coast Research Lab, as well as DMR, crabs, blue crabs, 35% down. That was just the other day. I'm sure it's going to be more. I mean, again, there's nothing, nothing positive out of it. And
Well, this is an impact caused by the actions of another state.
that's right.
I mean, so have we thought
Well,
about?
yeah, absolutely. We got to go. I talked to Cindy Hyde-Smith this last few days, and so I think they're aware, as well as Senator Wicker. So, and again, some of our connections in D.C. through our lobbyists and that sort of thing. We'll get everybody together at a table and see if we can get some attention. And again, I don't know what we can do this year because we're probably 30 or 40 more days of this. I don't. The weather's still acting up, and a big chunk of the United States, drains into the Mississippi system. Arkansas, some of their failing levees are failing right now, and they're going to find its way even in the Delta. Talking today, there's a lot of water cannot find itself, because it's already flooded, and it can't find itself back into the Mississippi River, but it's got to go somewhere. So there are a lot of conditions and again, a lot of questions. Let's see if we can, hammer out, at least get some attention.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, Robert, another problem they had, all the oysters they was cultivating, the second day it was all gone.
Yeah.
Killed every one of them.
85% is what I thought.
And they just wiped out that, all of them outside of Deer Island, went to zero salinity, they all done. Just wiped them out completely. The Vietnamese that runs all that, lost every one of them. That's how bad that is.
And then the tourism situation, with these things, all the press that, gets out, it's only negative, nothing positive about it.
Well, that's why I bring it up. I mean, it's going to be a considerable impact to our economy. I mean, it might rival what we dealt with the BP issue. So, it's huge.
Okay, thank you. And I have nothing more. I'm having a council award meeting the 20th of this month, June 20th at 5:30 at the Frank Gruich Community Center. That concludes the council report. I'm gonna move on to public agenda, and right after that, we're gonna be going into executive session. Okay, public agenda, citizen comments, total allotted time 45 minutes, 3 minutes per person. I'm gonna ask anyone on my left, would you like to come up and have a few words? Anyone on my left would like to come up and speak? Okay, I'm gonna switch to my right. Anyone on my right? Citizen comments.
This is what I gave Frank Ezra.
Mr. Felch.
About fixing it downstairs.
I just want to speak to y'all in reference to the development forum that we're doing on Tuesday, June 11th. It's going to be from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So basically the intent of the forum is to bring developers, bankers, commercial brokers, anybody you can think of under one roof, see if we can network them, get some sort of catalyst for development on Howard Avenue in the downtown area. So we're going to have Lee Young speak first on the district development, then we're going to have Lolly Barnes speak on historic tax credits, and then we'll have MDA speak on starting a small business, and we'll round out with Kim Fritz, who's been gracious enough. She's going to speak on the abatements and the grants, and then take us all for a tour on their property. Anybody that you know that could be a vendor or that could be help in this process, we'd appreciate it. I have flyers and vendor applications. Thank you.
What's the location?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Civic Center in Biloxi. Again, that's June 11th, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Everybody's invited. You can come as an attendee or you can come as a vendor. Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Felcher. Is there anyone else would like to make any comments? Did I miss anyone? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, we're going to conclude public agenda, citizen comments. We're going to go into the executive session. Okay, I need a motion on going into executive session. Moved by Mr. Lawrence. We got a motion to go in for the purpose of examining the necessity to go into executive session for litigations, for,
You want to correct?
discussion new business.
The clerk has a question.
The motion first needs to go into closed session to discuss the necessity.
Okay.
And you come out and
Okay,
then,
move by Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence moved it. Need a second. Second by Mr. Barrett. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, 6-1. Need a motion on the council to conclude,
The mood.
to come out?
Come out of it.
Okay, I'm going into my purpose of going in, to close, reconvene, to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Barrett. Any questions? All in favor?
You know.
Okay, 6-1. Mr. Deming in opposition. One more?
Now we go into executive.
Okay, motion to go into executive session. Moved by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Barrett. Any questions? All in favor? 6-1. All right, well, let's go into executive session. So there's one more left, I know it.